Module 4, Lesson 2 is graphing lines or linear equations using their intercepts. Now we're going to talk about what they are. What's an intercept? The x-intercept of a graph is the x-coordinate of the point where the graph intersects the x-axis. So if I have a number here that's cute little number 1, and I put a little dot there and I'm going to draw a line, this would be the x-intercept. Okay, if we were going to name this point, it would be the point 1, comma 0. So the value of y at the x-intercepts is always 0. So some number and then 0. Okay, so now let's talk about the y-intercept, and there's a little bit of a typo here. So if you have that and you're looking through your lesson and you're following along with me, we're going to correct the typo right here and call it the y-coordinate. The y-intercept of the graph is the y-coordinate of the point where the graph intersects the y-axis. So let's call this the number 1 as well. So this would be the y-intercept. Okay? So, and we could name that point, and that would be 0, comma 1. So what's the x value at the point? 0. So for every x-intercept, the y value is 0. For every y-intercept, the x value is 0. We always want to write the x and y-intercept as ordered pairs, just like we did over here. See? Okay. Now, there's several things that we need to do in this section. One is to identify the intercepts from the graph of a line. Well, just to look at it. The x-intercept's right here. So that would be the point 1, comma 0. The y-intercept is right here, and that would be the point 0, comma 2. So it's kind of easy to read it from the graph, which we love, so we wish that we were always given that. Not necessarily true. Let's move on to the example. Now we are going to find the intercepts and then use them to graph the line. So I'm going to give you a table first. I call it like a tic-tac-toe table. I set up an x and y, 0 for the x, 0 for the y, and then I just have to figure out the diagonal numbers. So here's my little equation, and I'm going to put 0 in for x and figure out what y is. Now some of you may just be able to tell, but let's just look at it. If I put 0 in for x, and I solve, I'll get 3y is equal to 6, y is equal to 2. So immediately, before I answer any questions, I'm going to graph the point 0, comma 2. Yay! So 0, comma 2, there it is. I'm all excited. And now I'm not going to answer any questions yet. I'm going to fill in this next piece. This time I'm going to put 0 in for y and figure out what x is. So I get 2x is equal to 6, so x is 3. So now I'm going to graph the point 3, comma 0, and there it is. I'm going to do my best to connect the points really quickly here, and that looks really good. This is now the line 2x plus 3y is equal to 6. So now we just have to name the x-intercept. So we look at where it crosses the x-axis, and that's 3, comma 0. Again, the y-coordinate's 0 there. And the y-intercept, we know the x-coordinate is 0, and it's crossing at 2. So really nice. Let's go on to the next example. Okay, Now this time I don't have a chart for you, but we're going to create a chart, graph the line, and then answer the questions. So again, I'm going to create that tic-tac-toe chart. Put 0 in for x, get a point. Put 0 in for y, get a point. Graph them, identify the points that we need. So here we go. First one, I'm going to put 0 in for x. My line is this. So I get negative 5y is equal to 20. So y is equal to negative 4. So I pop that in there. Graph the point 0, comma, negative 4. Here we go, 0, comma, negative 4. There it is. And now we're going to put in 0 for y, see what we get. So 4x minus 5y equals 20. I always start out with the original equation just to keep myself centered. So 4x is equal to 20, x is 5. So I write that there. Now I'm going to graph the point 5, comma 0. So I'm going to do it right there. There it is. And then I connect my points. Not very well, but I connect them, make the points a little bigger if I miss them. And there it is. That is the graph of the line. 4x minus 5y is equal to 20. So now I just have to identify the x-intercept. That's where it crosses the x-axis, which is 0, comma 5. And the y-intercept is 0, comma, negative 4. I just read it right off the graph. Here's the x-inter. Here's the y-intercept. Great. So we're getting used to it, progressing along at vertical and horizontal lines, and talk about intercept. So here we are. We're given this nice graph here. Is the line vertical or horizontal? Well, it's vertical. So we write down vertical. Now let's look at where the x-intercept is. It's right here. It's the point 1, comma 0. And then we look for the y-intercept, and since it's vertical, it's not going to cross, this particular line is not going to cross the y-axis, so we say there is none. Okay, and now what we're going to do is read and try to get the equation of this. Well, if we think about it, this is the point 1, comma 0. Then there's another point on the line, 1, comma 1, 1, comma 2, etc. X is always equal to 1. That's the equation. Done. Let's look at, well, I had to do it, a horizontal line. There it is. Now we're going to look for the x-intercept. We look high, we look low, we can't see it, there's none. Y-intercept, yeah, we got one. It's the point 0, comma, negative 2. And again, notice I'm writing all of my intercepts as ordered pairs. Now what's the equation? Well, if you think about it, every single point on this line has a y value of negative 2. So y is equal to negative 2. Again, we really don't care what x is in this line, but consistently across the board, y is negative 2. There's the equation. Last but not least is let's talk about lines that go through the origin and intercepts with that. First, we're going to graph this line right here. Y is equal to 1/3 x. And notice how that tic-tac-toe thing is not going to help us, because when I put 0 in for x, there's my equation. If I put 0 in for x, I get 1/3 times 0 is 0. So I get the origin. So it's really interesting because the x-intercept is 0, 0, and so is the y-intercept. So in order to graph this line, we need another point. So if your line goes through the origin, you're just going to have to do an additional point. Now look at the value I chose for x. And I chose 3 because that's a multiple of the denominator, and I won't have to have any fractions with it. So I'm going to pop 3 in for x into the equation, just like we did in the last section where we just chose nice values. So this will be 3/3, which is 1. So y will equal 1. So we're going to graph the point 3, 1. There it is. Again, we have 2.00 and then 3, 1. We can choose to graph more, but we're so great at it now, we only need 2 points and we'll be able to get the line. She tries to connect it well. It's always a little bit loopy-loop. I'm going to label the line y equals 1/3 x. Now you'll be able to do the written homework for this section and also the My Math Lab homework for this lesson. Good luck and ask questions when you need it.